Alright, I am Chronic Mayhem, and today we are taking a look at the MonsGeek Fun60 Ultra TMR Gaming Keyboard. Let's get into it. Alright, let's get all the boring stuff out of the way first. MonsGeek did send me this keyboard for review, but no money changed hands, no agreements were made what I can and cannot say in this review, and all the thoughts and opinions in this video are my own. In this video, we will be taking a look at the MonsGeek Fun60 Ultra TMR Gaming Keyboard. This is an all-aluminum keyboard in a 60% format with 8K polling, wired and wireless, and it is one of the only magnetic keyboards on the market that is hot-swappable with magnetic and mechanical switches. This is being sold for at full price of $89.99 USD, but at the time of this video, it is currently on sale for $69.99 USD. But before we get into all of that, let's see what you get in the box.
Oh, there could be anything in there.
This is the box. It's upside down. This is the box that your Fun60 will come in, and it has this sleeve right here that comes off easily. It's all black and white on the other side. My first con is that it doesn't say TMR anywhere on this sleeve. It's kind of confusing packaging. And on the back you can see it does say Ultra 8K, but there's no list of the other features on this box. Once you open this like so, you'll get this little sheet right here that just says MonsGeek in silver print, a little bit of foam, and then your keyboard will be here just like this. This is kind of like a nice little dust cover that I would keep if you want to put that on your keyboard when you are not using it. Your board will be in this little bag here to keep it safe from scratches. And then in the box, if I can actually get the stuff out of the box, you get this nice switch puller right here, this full aluminum switch puller that's actually pretty nice quality. It's better than like those little tiny ones that you'll get in really cheap boards usually. You'll get a decent keycap puller right here. It's one of those wired ones which are better than like the little crappy plastic ones that you get with glorious boards most of the time. And your wireless dongle will come in another little bag as well. There's a lot of plastic bags. It'd kind of be nice if they toned down on the plastic bags a little bit for recycling purposes. Oh, and on the bottom you will get this manual that is entirely in Chinese, which makes it almost completely worthless to me. You can figure out some of the key presses here with this little table, and on the back it's somewhat helpful for figuring out how to switch between the Bluetooth and the 2.4 wireless mode. But other than that, this is completely in Chinese. And I looked online as well, and there is not an English version of this manual, which I hope that gets fixed sooner rather than later. Especially if you're gonna have a product that's sold internationally, you have to offer more than one language. And that sums it up for the box. Back to the keyboard. Now this is a all aluminum board in a 60% layout, meaning you have no function keys on the top here, no number pad obviously, normal size keycaps on the bottom row, and a standard shift sized key on the right hand side. Comparing it to a 68% keyboard, for example. Now this is a 68% board where you do have your arrow keys, you do have some keys on the right side here as such as delete and page up and page down on this particular model. So if you are playing a lot of games where you have to have your arrow keys, or you like to use them for scrolling through YouTube videos, Excel sheets, etc., then a 68% board might be the better option for you. But for purely gaming, 60% will be perfectly fine for the vast majority of games, especially ones like first-person shooters. The case is all CNC aluminum on the top and bottom. As you can see here, this is very thick, very nice aluminum casing. It does show some fingerprints on the matte black, so that's something that to take note of, but you're not going to be touching these sides of your keyboard, I don't think, very much. It does have this little loop on the side, kind of like how the Wooting boards have. I don't really see any purpose this serves. I guess you could hook a ribbon or a hand or something to it, but it just kind of seems pointless. But the actual build quality itself is excellent. I absolutely love all aluminum boards. Once you have an all aluminum board, it's pretty hard to go back to a plastic board. and the metal does feel good. There's really no sharp corners or anything like that. Some of the other features of this keyboard is it has native 8K polling in the wired and wireless 2.4 GHz wireless mode, turbo and rapid trigger, snap key, which is MonsGeek's version of SOCD, mod tap, toggle key, a 4,000 amp hour battery within this. And the feature that I am personally most excited for with this keyboard is what MonsGeek is calling its mag-mech compatibility, meaning you can take any magnetic switch that is downward facing end pole or any mechanical switch that you want and hot swap it in this board. Most magnetic keyboards, you are locked into an ecosystem of a specific small number of magnetic switches, and you can't use mechanical switches at all. That is what's really cool about this keyboard and what has made me interested in this particular board as well. In the past, I've had no interest in Hall effect keyboards because of that exact reason. Is I did not want to be locked into magnetic switches, especially when they're all linear, and I personally really like tactile mechanical switches. Now, what makes that possible is the TMR sensors within this keyboard. Now you have Hall effect keyboards and now TMR keyboards. The difference is the sensors within the keyboard itself, not the switches. There's no such thing as a Hall effect switch. There's Hall effect sensors and TMR sensors that use magnetic switches. Anyone that calls the switches Hall effect switches doesn't know how this technology works and has no idea what they're talking about. Now, the main difference between Hall effect and TMR, we've explained several times on this channel when it comes to game controllers. Now, in keyboards, to keep it simple, the main difference is with Hall effect sensors measure the voltage generated due to the current and magnetic field and how they are interacting with each other. TMR measures the change in resistance based on the alignment of magnetic fields in ferromagnetic layers. So as you are moving your switch up and down, you're moving those magnetic fields, and that's causing a change in resistance in those ferromagnetic layers, and that is the change that these sensors are measuring. Typically, TMR sensors are much more sensitive and require much smaller magnetic fields, which also means they use much less battery than a Hall effect sensor. They are more accurate because of this, but they're also slightly more expensive, which is why it's impressive that we have a budget TMR keyboard here that can use mag switches and mechanical switches for under $100. One other thing I wanted to mention that I didn't mention in the looks and the aesthetics and the functionality of the keyboard is the power switch and the ability to switch between the wireless modes is under the caps lock key. Now, I'm not a fan when other brands do this, and I really wish MonsGeek would get away from this for their future boards. It's very annoying to need to pop off your keycap to switch between wired and wireless modes. So the top of the switch is wireless Mac mode, the bottom is wireless Windows, and the middle is the USB mode. Chronic Mayhem from the future here. So as I was complaining about needing to take this keycap off whenever you want to switch between wired and wireless, you actually do not need to do that, and you can leave this switch in the wireless position indefinitely. So in the manual, it does tell you how to switch back to the wired mode. You use function plus U and you will get back to the wired mode, but it does not tell you how to get back to the wireless mode without using this switch. But I figured out when you do switch to the wireless mode, the Y key glows green. So if you plug it in, I'm already in the wireless mode, and you do function U, now you are back in the wired mode and you're no longer draining the battery. The battery is actually charging. That's why the escape key is glowing red, and it will stop charging automatically when it is full because it has overcharge protection. Now to switch back to the wireless mode, all you have to do is function plus Y, and the Y key will glow green like it was before. And then you can unplug it, and now you're back in the wireless mode. To prove that I am in the wired mode here, I will do this like that, turn it off, and you can see it automatically turns off even though the switch is still in the wireless mode because I manually switched it to the USB wired mode. So you do not have to take this keycap off each time you want to switch. You can just use the keyboard commands. All right, back to the review. The other thing that's annoying is that there's no place to store the wireless dongle on the case of this board. Ideally, in the next version of this, I would like a toggle switch right here next to the USB port where you can have this wireless switch so you don't need to keep popping up a keycap, and a little bit of a magnetic slot so you can pop the USB dongle right in there. Or maybe you can put it someplace on the bottom, but right here next to the USB switch, have your USB switch, your toggle switch, and then a slot to keep the USB dongle. That would be perfect, and I really hope they implement something like that for the next version of this board and their other boards as well. Let's start from the top down and first take a look at the keycaps that you get with this keyboard. So these are double shot PBT shine through keycaps here. So we will take the W key off here so you can see it. You can see here they have a slight texture on them, but they are kind of smooth. They are great for not showing fingerprints. That's one of the reasons why people really like PPT keycaps, because it's a more durable material and they are less likely to show things like fingerprints and grease and things like that. We will measure the thickness to see. Now we want to see something like over 1.2. So basically the thicker the keycap, the better, higher quality it is. So we are getting 1.5. Let me just measure one more time, like over here. And we are getting 1.5 again. So that's a good value. You want a thick keycap, which means they will sound better when you're typing. They'll last longer. And it's just a sign of a higher quality, more expensive keycap with its more thickness. The switches themselves, so these are hot swap sockets, as I mentioned before. You can use any 3 or 5 pin mechanical switch as well in these sockets. It's obviously a north facing setup. So this is the Accio glare magnetic switch here. Let's see if I can, there we go. You see it has a box stem and a pretty nice LED diffuser as well right there to make the LED shine a little bit brighter. It has a total travel of 3.4 millimeters, a initial force of 25 grams, and a actuation force at 2 meters of 40, and an end force of 48. They feel pretty good. They are pre-lubed. They're a little light for my preference. I kind of like a little bit heavier switches, like in the 55 range, especially, and I like tactile switches better as well. But for a linear, these are not bad. In my first experience with magnetic switches, they kind of have a, I don't know if I'd call that a ping, but we'll do a complete sound test later. And you can see here, you can see it's a magnetic switch because it's missing that center pillar right there that you would see on a mechanical switch, for example. But like I mentioned before, you can take any mechanical switch. This is an Accio Cream version 3, I believe, and you can put that right in here. And there you go, it fits perfect. Now, when you are switching the switches around, you do want to go in the software and recalibrate the board to make use of the new switches. But as I mentioned earlier, you can have the W, A, and S, D keys all be magnetic, so you get the benefits of like setting the points where it'll activate and having all the benefits of a TMR board, and have all the rest stay mechanical. So you still get the typing experience that you want from tactile or just general, your favorite mechanical switch. The stabilizers on this board are all pre-lubed. They sound pretty good. They for sure sound miles better than your generic gaming keyboard ever will. They have, the space bar is a little bit more higher pitch than the other keys, and we'll show that again in the sound test. I'll pop the space bar off so you can get a good look at it. And you can see they are purple. And you can see some of the lubrication in there as well. And they are plate mounted, and MonsGeek also advertises them as being demagnetized so that they won't interfere in any of the magnetic fields or the sensors within the board. But the stabilizers themselves are definitely not bad. Maybe you want to fine tune them a little bit more, maybe add a little bit more lube to get them exactly where you want to be. But as I said earlier, they are definitely better than any stabilizers you'll find in like your generic gaming keyboard that you'll find in a big box store. Here we are now in the software that you will be using to modify your MonsGeek Fun60 Ultra TMR Gaming Keyboard. Let's start with the main tab here first, and this is where you can do your generic remappings just like you would on any other mechanical keyboard. Now on this drop down menu, now this is where you can set the custom distance where your switch will activate. What I like, it does have this little toggle switch here so you can simulate. You can see the blue is when the keycap is, or when the switch is going down, and the red is when it's traveling back up. So you can set the values of when what will activate with the menu over here, and it does have a tester here as well, so you can see exactly when everything is activating and to test all the different values that you're using. You can select the individual keys like this, or you can select drag up here and then have multiple switches as well. Or you can just use the toggle switch here to select all the keys at once. I do like this little toggle switch down here for the simulations. It is very helpful if you're new to magnetic keyboards. It's good to have a good visual.
Today, Junior!
It's good to have a little representation down here of the different settings that you're changing so that you can get a real-time picture of what is being done. Now over here you can go to switch settings. This is where if you do have mismatched switches in your keyboard, like say you have some mechanical, some magnetic over here, or you have multiple different magnetic ones, you can assign them here so you know exactly what they are. So like let's say I want that one to be green. This cluster over here are all my mechanical switches like that. So you can label them all here so that you know exactly what you're dealing with. Now, in the advanced settings, this is where you can do all your dynamic keystrokes, all your mod tap, all your toggle key. Now, mod tap enables a key press to do more than one function. It will, when you press and hold the switch, it will do one function, and when you're tapping it, it will do another. Now, I do have to warn you guys, some games do consider these functions cheating because normal mechanical keyboards can't do this, and it's like using macros on controllers, which a lot of games consider that cheating as well. So functions like mod tap or the SOCD function, use at your own risk depending on the games that you like to play. Speaking of SOCD, what this does is prioritizes one switch over the other when they're pressed at the same time. So like it says here, bind to selected keys, and when both keys are pressed at the same time, the last selection technique key prevails. So like let's say you're holding A and then you hit D, it is going to prioritize that D switch over the A when they're both hit at the same time. In other settings, you just have very generic stuff like when the lights are going to turn off, when you're on wired or Bluetooth. One thing I wanted to mention though, when you're charging the battery on this keyboard, this escape key is going to be red the entire time the battery is charging, and you can't change this in the software, so it's kind of annoying. Hopefully in the next firmware they change that to make it an optional setting. Now, this is where you can do the RGB for the rest of the board. Now, there's not a visual representation up here, which is kind of disappointing. When you select a new function here, I would like it to show up here as well, not just on the keyboard below, so you don't have to keep looking up and down to see if you like the effect. It would be nice if it showed it here as well. If you have a profile you want to share with everyone else, you can upload that here, or if someone else you know has a profile, you can download it and use it yourself. This tab that I also forgot to mention, you can change what holding your function key does and all of that good stuff, so you can really customize this keyboard. And it does have onboard memory as well. So all these settings that you are putting in with this software, you can unplug it, bring it wherever you want, and those settings will come with you. But overall, this is good software. I would like to see it streamlined a little bit and some more descriptions of what each function does, or if you have an English manual in the box, that would be helpful too, to walk you through this. But overall, good software, and I'm glad you don't need to download anything. This is the product page listing for the Fun60 Ultra TMR Gaming Keyboard on the MonsGeek website. You can see here it is on sale for $69.99. The wired only version is $59.99 on sale right now. The normal price, as I mentioned earlier, is $89.99. It lists all the features here as well. It has some pretty nice graphics explaining all of the features, and it has a link at the bottom here for where to download the driver needed to use the web-based software. Now, this is the cheaper place to buy the keyboard. It is also on Amazon as well, but it is listed for $94.99, even though there is a 15% coupon currently. So I would suggest buying it off the MonsGeek website, as it is far cheaper there, unless you really want the 1-month return policy that Amazon has, or the shipping cost of the MonsGeek website is going to make it significantly more, and you want the free shipping option of Amazon. I will leave links to the Amazon listing and the MonsGeek listing in the description below. So what are my final thoughts about this board? I think this is a really nice little board, whether it being magnetic or mechanical or whatnot, but the fact that you can switch between magnetic and mechanical switches with this board really blow it out of the park and puts it way above its competition. This is way better than a Wooting board for a fraction of the price. For $69 at the time of this video, you can get this board and you can use virtually any switches you want. You're getting a full aluminum build, you're getting 8K polling, you're getting pretty decent keycaps as well, and all of the features that you would get with those way more expensive magnetic boards for, again, a much cheaper price. So if you are looking into getting your first magnetic keyboard, whether it be Hall Effect or TMR, definitely get TMR. TMR is better than Hall Effect in virtually every way. And this is the board I would get, because even if you got this board and you decided you still just like mechanical switches, you're still going to benefit from the 8K polling as well. And what I plan to do is I'm going to keep my W, my A, my S, and my D keys. I'll have those be the magnetic keys, and then I'm going to have all the rest be the mechanical switches of my choosing. I do wish the Fun68 was TMR so that it could benefit from being able to use the magnetic and the mechanical switches as well, but that one is Hall Effect. Currently, only the Fun60 and the new M1 V5 TMR version are the only TMR boards that will support using mechanical and magnetic switches. I would prefer the 65, 68, or 75% so that I do have my arrow keys and some other keys that after I've lost them, I have really noticed I miss, like a delete key and a print screen key. I've noticed, especially when I'm watching YouTube, I like to scan through videos with the arrow keys, so those are gone. That's when I've noticed I really miss those. And just deleting files, I really like to have that delete key as well. But overall, I think you really cannot go wrong with this board. The software, of course, is a little confusing and there is quite the learning curve there, but it has all the features that you would need and it is pretty powerful software. It's just not quite as streamlined as I would like to see. But with all that in mind, I think this is a great product and I am looking forward to the next version. Hopefully on the next version, they move that toggle switch to someplace outside so you don't need to keep popping off that keycap, and have a place to store the dongle as well, because the benefit of having a keyboard this small is that you could travel with it theoretically. So great board. I will have links in the description on Amazon and the MonsGeek website. They will be affiliate links, like generic links, if you feel like helping out the channel or if this video helped you out at all. If you liked this video, please consider hitting like and subscribe so that you won't miss my next review. I also stream on Twitch, typically 3 times a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and at least once on the weekend. Drop me a follow there as well if you want to stop by and hang out or ask me about any of the products I have made videos on. All my other social medias will also be linked in the description below. This is a good product and I want to thank MonsGeek again for sending this out. I really enjoyed using this board and having it be my introduction to magnetic keyboards. I love TMR technology, and before I wasn't quite convinced it would make a significant difference in keyboards, but this keyboard did help change my mind in that. So thank you again to MonsGeek. That is going to wrap it up for this video. I am Chronic Mayhem and I will see you all next time. Peace.